my friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Man Cave, and I've got my genius shirt. Genius in disguise. Genius in disguise. Why am I a genius today? Well, you'll see in the video that I used a carbide tip blade on my sawmill. Genius. Anyway, now it worked really good. I'm really tickled with it. I figured it would help a lot, but it helped a lot. It really did. So you'll get to see that in a minute. But first, Operation Clean Sink. I had a busy morning. Well, my friends, it's time for my bi-decade cleaning of my sink. When I say bi-decade, that means I clean it about twice a decade. We're going to spray it down with Super Clean, dissolves grease, super easy, super fast. Well, if that's what it does, that's what we need. So let's see. I can see some running down the face of this already. I'm pretty sure there's either cure for cancer here or at least another case of a different kind of case of Legionnaire's disease in this sink. I'm sure you can find something that would do something to excite the scientific world in this sink, one way or the other, whether it's good or bad. Anyway, we're just going to soak her down pretty good with this stuff, and we'll give it about 10 minutes or so to kind of soak, and then we'll see what happens. I think it needs it about once every 5 to 10 years, you know. This has been soaking for 25 minutes, so that's probably too long because it's probably dried out. So I'm going to give it a little bit more of just a wetting rinse here. And then we're going to get the old scrub brush out and see if it removes anything. And the chances are slim that it will. Well, it's doing something. I don't know how much is Super Clean, and I don't know how much is the scrub brush, but it's doing something. You got to admit, this is pretty bad. It's about as bad as it's going to get. Well, you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and clean it up. I'll show you an after picture here, and we'll compare the before and the after. Well, there's what she looks like after the very first cleaning in quite a long time. It really did turn out pretty good. I'm curious to see if we spray it on there again and let it soak again. I just wonder if it'll do any more. I only cleaned the inside, by the way. I didn't bother working on the outside at all. You know, it's still stained pretty good. I'm just curious, would it do any more if we spray it again and let it set another 5 minutes or so and then scrub it again and see what happens? Okay, my friends, I'm going to use Super Clean again, but this time I'm going to use it in this spray can and see how that does. I have never used it in the spray can before. And it's foaming up big time. That's nice. We're just going to coat it down. We'll let it set about 5 to 10 minutes. And we'll try it again. See if we get any more off of it. I might as well coat the front of this. I'm not going to go deep into it, but might as well coat that too, and we'll clean that up also. That's about as good as it's going to get. This whole shop don't need much more than that. But we'll give that about 5 minutes or maybe 10 to soak in, and then we'll scrub it up one more time. Okay, for cleaning number 2, I'm going to use just a cloth. Get off that roll there. I got it doubled, and I'm just going to turn on some water, and we're going to scrub it with the cloth, see if it makes any difference. I don't think we're going to get much more off, to be honest with you. I think these other stains are embedded. Oh, I see some coming off here. Yeah, maybe we'll get some. Yeah, actually, we're getting quite a bit in some places. Let's see what it does on this side. This side here really didn't want to come clean at all. I mean, this side for some reason was way worse than the rest of it. Doesn't look like much is coming off of this side. I didn't expect it to, but oh, there's definitely some coming off though. Now that I look at it. Project Farm did a comparison of different cleaners like this, and Super Clean came out pretty good in his review. I don't think it was the top one, but it came out pretty good. So I can't say that it's way better than anything else, but I would say it's as good as anything else. Seems at least as good as pretty much any other product I've used. I truly didn't expect it to take off much more, and quite honestly, it didn't, but it did take off more in several places. More than I expected, I guess. And we're going to call that good enough. Let me get her cleaned up, dried off, and we'll have a before and after picture then so that you can see what we did there to this monstrosity, a big science experiment. Well, there's your final after. It's, pretty good. You always hope for more, but there's not much going to clean something as bad as that is. And I do think the Super Clean did a good job. I don't necessarily think it was all that much greater than other cleaners, but it did a good job. That's for sure. It did a nice job. And would I use it again? Yeah, I'd use it again. Sure, no problem.
I see Scott Roberts just put a comment. Next time, use a sandblaster. It would take more than that, probably. I think one of those, what is that, that air hammer, the air hammer with a chisel? That's probably what you should start with on a sink like that. That sink was pretty bad. It actually did look pretty impressive in terms of the before and the after. I didn't even think it would get that good. The problem is that stuff is embedded down in the sink. It's so scratched and stuff that there's really not much going to get that out of there. But it did a pretty good job. And of course, Super Clean did send that to me for free. And I told them I would include it in a video somewhere. But hey, if you can get free cleaning stuff, why not? It worked out pretty good. And after Operation Clean Sink, well, here's another operation I did. This one has no commercial endorsement.
Well, my friends, it's the ugly duckling stage. That's what I call this. Everything's piled everywhere, but it's because I'm doing more shop improvement projects. I moved this bolt rack over next to the workbench here. Gives me clean access to it. I bought a Harbor Freight parts cleaning deal station and had to do quite a bit of work to get it to fit into this spot right here. But it looks like a good spot for it, not far from the actual sink. I had to find a place to put my anvil, and right now it's going to live right there. That's the best I got for the moment. But yeah, there's just stuff piled everywhere, but that's the way it works. You got to go through the ugly duckling phase in order to get to the beautiful swan. In our case, beautiful swan is probably just a band-aid on the ugly duckling, but at least we'll have something when we're finished. I think I'm going to go ahead and pour in my cleaning fluid now because I'm ready. And so what cleaning fluid did I buy? I bought Purple Power. In hindsight, I maybe made a mistake. I don't know. I'm halfway tempted to take it back, and the other half of me says, oh, give it a shot and see what happens. So I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens. And first thing that happened is it didn't pull this up. It pulled the lid off instead of lifting it out of the hole there, which is my typical luck on these kinds of things. It almost pulled it out that time, but it didn't. Well, there you go. Maybe if I wiggle it, there you go, I got it out. I don't know if you can even see what I'm doing because I can't tell by that camera. But anyway, I got her out of there. We'll open this up now, and then we'll pull the inner ring out, which should come out without tearing, but it'll probably tear in my case. Oh, it worked. It did work. Oh, be darned. Okay, well, I guess we're just going to dump her in here and see what happens. We'll dump her in here and watch her leak. It's probably what we'll do, because I didn't check the plug on the bottom. Takes 5 gallons minimum. Actually, this is a 20-gallon, what they call a 20-gallon deal. I think you have to have a minimum of at least 5 gallons before the pump will even work. And I think maybe 10. I bought 10 gallons of this. And they don't give it away. It's not cheap. Actually, my original idea was just to use diesel fuel in this, but then none of the pumps seem to be able to handle the diesel fuel. They all claim that will ruin the pump. But what I'll probably do is try this out first, and if I'm not satisfied with this, I'll probably get me a pump that'll handle diesel fuel and put that in there. Well, that's an empty 5-gallon bucket. They don't give them away either, so we'll use that for something. I don't know if that's enough. It don't look like it's going to be enough to me, but we'll see if the pump will run now. We'll see if it'll spray. Not so much. If I tip it up, there he goes. So we're gonna need more. 5 gallons ain't enough. There you go, that proves my point. Okay, time for the next 5. And yeah, I know if you turn it up the other way, it won't gulp. I get it. I know all these things, it's just that I don't always do all these things, you know? People are always giving me suggestions in the comments that, generally speaking, are such obvious ideas that it almost insults your intelligence sometimes. But I just deal with it and just don't make any comment about it. There you go. I think we're empty on that one too. Well, it ought to pump now. Doggone it anyway. There you go. It's pumping now. I have a brush for the end of this ordered that I can put on the end of this, and hopefully that'll come in soon, and that'll be able to brush the parts better and clean the parts better. Now, again, if this stuff don't cut the grease and oil and junk, well, then I'm just going to go to diesel fuel. Now, diesel fuel is dangerous in the sense that it could catch fire, but diesel fuel, it takes a lot to ignite it, so I'm not too worried about it. Though maybe I should be.
Yeah, so there was a lot done on the, topic of cleaning this morning. It's about time. And somebody said that I should take that out and pressure wash that sink, and all that. That's too much work. I mean, I realize it's not that hard to disconnect, but you got to disconnect it from the wall, then you got to disconnect the drain, and then you got to disconnect the two sink, hot and cold water. So there's more there than just one little connection, and that's too much work. I don't care if it's any cleaner than that. That's just the bottom line. If it was cleaner than that, it'd be great, but if it's not cleaner than that, it's just fine. There you go. That's just me. Like I said, I'm real picky on some things. Other things, I could give a rip. like that, I could just give a rip. Now here's another thing I did this morning. This was a lot bigger part of a project here. There was a lot to this. I'm only showing you a little bit of this because I may make this into a full-blown video for down the road. Yeah. Anyway, here it is. Here's what I did do, or here's the short version of what I did this morning.
Well, my friends, we're just about ready to try cutting the first oak log I've cut in a couple of years, actually. I've got a new carbide tip blade on the saw. I have not yet started the saw this morning, so it's not even warmed up yet. I've just got the log into position, so I think we're just about ready to get started. Let's see what happens. Friends, this is a red oak log. Red oak is pretty hard. Let's pull the saw out of the way here and see what we ended up with on our first cut. First impression is the carbide tooth blade cut like butter, really. Did a good job. You can see there, it's nice looking wood. The only flaw in it was right here, and that might not last long. It looks like it's close to a veneer log, basically. It's not very big. It's only 12 and 14 inches, respectively, on each end. But that's looking good. I'm happy with the way that performed on the first cut. So the only thing that could be better on my saw right now on this kind of log would be if we had a debarker to have it run in front of the blade and cut a slot in the bark, so that it's not cutting through bark. But being carbide, it should be able to handle that even, so I'm good. I think I'll take a full inch cut and see what we end up with. I guess I'll get smarter as I go and come around on this side and take the board off. But you can see that's a pretty good looking board. It's got a knot or two in it, so it's definitely not a veneer type log. But it's not too bad. I see a couple of bug holes in it, but it still looks like a pretty decent log.
And I did go ahead and cut the rest of that up, and then that was quite a bit of work. It took me, see, I got out there at 7 to do that because I did that first. You know, these videos are actually in almost exactly backwards order. In fact, they are in backwards order. So I did this very first thing before it got real hot, and I was finished with the log, or cutting the log up by 8:30, and then I had to stack and sticker it, and that's a lot of dang work, man. I'm telling you what, that's the thing that you will underestimate. I don't care who you are and what you think you know, unless you've done this a lot in your life, you will underestimate the stacking and stickering. I guarantee you. You will never believe how many stickers it takes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, stickers are the little boards that you stack your lumber on. You have to have these little spacers in between each layer of lumber. Otherwise, it'll mold and warp and won't dry and all that. So you have to have stickers, is what they call them, the little boards that go in between each layer. Well, anyway, stacking and stickering, I guarantee you, you will underestimate the effort involved in that process. Guarantee you. In fact, that's 3/4 of the work of cutting logs on a sawmill is the stacking and stickering. Maybe not 3/4, but it's 5/8 anyway. The rest of it is the rest of it. 3/8 of it is all the rest of it. 5/8 of it is stacking and stickering. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. Well, guys, I think that's everything I had for today. So let's go into the comment section here and see what's going on. As far as I know, by the way, I've still got my kidney stone. I can sort of still feel something, but it feels actually better today. So I'm thinking it might be gone. For sure, over the weekend, I'm going to get off the pain medicine. I'm not going to do it during the week because it'll probably cause me to have to cancel the vlog again if it's not gone. But somebody, and there's been several more comments that's come in that says, be careful of that stuff, you can get addicted to it. Trust me, guarantee you 1,000%, there ain't no even doubt about it. There's no way I'll get addicted to this stuff. Not a chance. You can call that stubbornness, you can call it naiveness, you can call it anything you want to, but I guarantee you I won't be addicted to it. In fact, I don't feel anything from it other than the fact that it's reduced the pain on the kidney stone. And it doesn't help the arthritis pain. You would think it would help that. It doesn't help that at all. Yeah, like that still hurts. So there you go. Isn't it weird how that works like that? Rod Wintler says, hi, Jerry, gang, hope your stone passes soon. Me too. Then Lenny Young says, hey, Jerry, I hope everything works out for you, buddy. It's going to be horrible. Hey, I really enjoy your show, but what you have every day, you're quite a handyman. Well, thank you. Thank you, Lenny. I'm busier than a cat covering up you-know-what on a marble table. Ronald Todd, good afternoon, Jerry and everyone from the West Banks of New Jersey. Dottie Hildebrandt is praying for everybody. Thank you, Dottie. Boy, those people in Texas sure need it too, man. And Israel, and all of it. This world is messed up, but I don't know. For the first time in a long time, I'm starting to feel a little bit more optimistic about it. I know some of you will totally disagree with that, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. You have your right to your opinion. But I feel personally a little bit better about the state of the affairs of the world at the moment. But it's always on a thin thread, David Tharp says, howdy, everyone. I used to think that working on guitars was bad for my health, so I gave up thinking. Oh, well, there you go. I never see if you'd have told me that before I retired, I might have been able to get another year or two out of it. Let's see. Bill Webb. Good afternoon, Jerry and friends. Business is looking up. 3 guitars in for various repairs and another on the way. Well, there you go, Bill. Put it out on YouTube if you haven't done that already. I mean, I haven't checked, but if you haven't done that already, put it out on YouTube and see what happens. Of course, you're gonna catch a whole lot of flack if you don't do it the way they think you should be doing it, until they finally learn that you know what you're doing. That's the way it was with me. I mean, at the beginning, they just ripped me up one side and down the other. And finally, that's why I would get so opinionated about like hide glue and stuff. You're not using hide glue. You need to be using hide glue. I mean, it was just constantly. And finally, I just, after showing them the difference enough times, people got over it. And I think I won most of those people over because, hide glue was great 300 years ago. It really was. It truly, truly was great glue 300 years ago. But we got better stuff now. And that's what you're going to run into, Bill, is those kinds of things. So good luck to you, man. I hope it works out for you. But if you do put it out on YouTube, the ones that aren't knocking you will be bringing you instruments. Jeff Puris, Bill Webb, what state are you in? Oh, it's talking to Bill. Yeah, he's down in Commerce, Texas. Let's see. Kim Williford says, good morning, Jerry and friends. Loving it here in Las Vegas. I got my picture taken at the Gold Nugget. 61 pounds pure gold came out of the ground. Wow. Let's see. Todd Bishop, how you feeling today? Well, right at the moment, I'm feeling just fine. Everything's perfect. I just hope the stone is gone. At least, as long as the pain's under control, I'm good to go. Just think how much more I'd get done, though, if I didn't have a kidney stone. David Tharp, if I had 50 cents for every math test I failed, I'd have $6.30. There you go. I don't even know what to say about that. Let's see. Kim Williford, I guess I have to send you an email of the picture. Yeah, sure. Do that. Let's see. David Tharp, Jerry, are you still in the Stone Age? Yeah, definitely. In more ways than one. Let's see. Moving on down, looking for the question marks primarily. Let's see. Bill Rhodes says, good afternoon, Jerry. And I say back at you. Just looking for things that are directed more my way. Let's see. Don Nice says, hi, Jerry and friends. I sure hope another stone doesn't try to pass the larger one. Boy, isn't that the truth. I forgot to mention to you guys that when the doctor, the urologist that I went to, Dr. Kazmarek, when he, talked to me, he said that he looked at the CT scan that was done at the hospital, and he said that I had at least 2 other stones. I think is what he said. Maybe it was 3, but he said there's at least 2 other stones, one in the right kidney and one in the left kidney, but they're pretty small. They haven't moved yet. Those stones, he was showing me where they form. They form in these little stringy things that are on the sides of the kidneys, and then they fall out of there, and then that's when they go down through the tube, But anyway, there's a couple more in the making, is what it sounds like. But he said that, I did tell you this already, but he did say that he would be able to do an analysis after we get through this one, and he will be able to tell me what is exactly causing those stones. Now, I don't know they could do that, but he says he can, so we'll see. We'll wait and see. I kind of have been blaming it on my well water. The well water is great tasting water here. I mean, it really is. It's good, clean water. We've had it tested. It's great water. But it is high in, like lime and that kind of stuff. You can't taste it. It tastes really good. And if anybody could taste it, it'd be this guy. And it's great tasting water, but it is high in minerals. Let's see. Moving on down. Looks like after we went live, David Tharp says, I've been told that the French don't like fast food. I suppose that's why they eat snails. Never thought of it like that, but you know what? You got a point. You got a point. Let's see. Brian Byler, like the shirt, Jerry. Yeah, well, I think it's very fitting, especially the fact that I used that carbide tip blade on that sawmill. Again, I know I've gone on this little rant before, but seriously, folks, I mean, honestly, if it doesn't matter how you're using your bandsaw, whether you're using the inside type bandsaw that I use, or you're using the big bandsaw sawmill, or something in between, yeah. If you can afford the carbide tip saw blade, you will thank me, you will bless me. Seriously telling you, there's a night and day difference. It's not similar at all. It's way better. You won't, I mean, like if you've been, I'll tell you where I wished I would have known about a carbide tips bandsaw blade was back in the days where I was, resawing the hardwoods to make guitar backs or mandolin sides or anything. Whenever you're, doing a resaw where you're taking a board like a 6-inch wide board and you're standing it up on edge and you're slicing off thin veneer off of that, the carbide tip saw blade does that like butter. I mean, it's like it's not even difficult at all compared to your regular saw blade. Your regular saw blade struggles, burns, does this a lot because of the pressure you're putting on it, you're pushing on it. The carbide tip blade just right through it like nothing. I mean, it's so different, it's not even, it's hard to explain. So my point in stressing that is that if you've been on the fence about, should I spend that kind of money for, you definitely should. If you've been having trouble getting through logs or wood or anything with your bandsaw, get you a carbide tip blade. Make sure the blade's tight. It has to be good and tight, And I don't mean overly tight. I just mean it needs to be tight up to the normal spec of wherever that is. But once you do those two things, get a good carbide blade and get it good and tight, man, it saws like butter. Completely different. All right, let's see. Bill Webb says, yes, I'm in Commerce, Texas. Don Nye says, yes, those pink shirts. I like those pink shirts. Well, thank you. Let's see. Scott Roberts. Only real men can wear pink shirts, by the way. Scott Roberts, next time use a sandblaster. Yeah, that's what we were talking about before. And it would take that, I think. Or a welding needle gun. Yeah. Hugh O'Connor, dirty sink pressure washer or citric acid. Like I said, at this point, I'm satisfied with where it's at. I think I've at least arrested the Legionnaire's disease that was growing in there. I think we've got that stopped for the moment. Scott Rivers says, it looks like my shop, only with less clutter. Actually, there's plenty of clutter. G&P Old Marine Shop. Hello, Jerry. Being the nut I am, I would take the sink outside. Yeah, I saw that comment earlier, and that's the problem I was talking about. There's way too much to disconnect and hassle with to do that. I mean, if I had to do it, I would do it, but I don't have to, so therefore I won't. Scott Roberts, remember, always pillage before you burn. Check that drain plug first. Well, I checked it. It didn't leak, but I didn't check until I started pouring it in. Gino Hitch, hi Jerry and friends. Hope everyone is doing well. Beautiful day here in Monroe, Ohio. Sidecar Bob, still dealing with the basement flood. Got we got estimates from mold removal places, and I hired one this morning. Now I need to finish emptying the shop. Yeah, well, I don't envy you on that whole project. That's not fun at all. Kim Williford, Jerry, it's supposed to be 110 at 4 p.m. today. I stay in the shade and drink tons of water to remain hydrated so I don't bake. Yeah, but at least it's a drier heat, I think, in Las Vegas, where here it sometimes gets well over 100 here, and it ain't dry at all. It's miserable. I absolutely hate it. I hate it way worse than the 20-degree temperatures in the winter. I can dress for the 20-degree temperature, but you cannot dress for the 105-degree high humidity. Bill Mumbo, I've always thought you were a man of incredible taste. Yeah, well, I can taste a lot of stuff, that's for sure. Bill Webb, thanks, Jerry. I hope to be overrun with stuff too. You'll be surprised. It won't take long. Yeah, especially, the word of the mouth is great. And that's really your best advertising overall. But if you put it on YouTube or something like that, it won't take long. Kim Williford, still haven't gotten used to the heat. I bet not. Wavy Gravy, I knew a guy who worked in a very careless sawmill. He couldn't count his accidents on his fingers, had to count them on his toes. I wonder why. Ronald Todd, Jerry, carbide tip blades are so much better on every type of cutting tool that I know of. And that's true. I mean, that's really true. In fact, I went to a carbide tip blade for my metal cutting saw, but I had to actually buy that specific kind of saw too, by the way. Just in case anybody doesn't know this, the chop saws that chop metal off, the ones that have the grinding wheel type disc, that's the best I can't think of what that's really called, but anyway, there's those kind that looks just like a grinding wheel, except it's real narrow for a cutoff wheel, I guess. Anyway, that type of saw spins much faster, so you cannot really, or you shouldn't really, take a carbide tooth blade and put it on that kind of saw, because it will spin the carbide tip way too fast, and it will generally break your carbide and have stuff flying all over your shop and probably kill you. At least it'll probably cut your throat or something and kill you that way. So don't do that. Spend the money and get the slower turning RPM saw and put your carbide tip blade on that for the metal chop saw. And that's what I did. I already had one of those other fiber type saws, and I switched it over to the carbide, and man, that was a huge improvement also. Huge improvement. The metal doesn't hardly heat up when you do that. Where with the grinding saw that saws through the cutoff disc, the metal gets really hot. But with the carbide, it barely warms up. It really saws it very nicely. Let's see. Zacharak 55, Edmonton in the house. Okay. Ronald Todd, skipping a lot today. YouTube sensors working today. Skipping a lot today. I don't know what you're talking about. If you're talking about me skipping them, I'm not skipping anything that I can tell. Sidecar Bob, I'm looking forward to putting the basement back together, including making some changes. At least I don't get bored, or at least no more bored than you get. Dave Tackett, enjoying watching you live. I usually watch you late at night. Well, thanks, Dave, for being here. Appreciate it. Wavy Gravy, got a new job as a lumberjack this week. The interviewer me asked if I had experience. I said I worked in the Sahara forest. He laughed and said, "That's a desert." I said, "It is now," I said. I knew that one was coming. All right. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it. I think, just for grins, I'm going to, if I remember to do it, I'm going to try carburetor cleaner on that sink tomorrow, because several people had suggested that in the comments. Although those comments went away. I don't know where those went. I didn't see them when I was reading through here. But so that's probably what's happening to these comments. They show up, and then this thing is somehow deleting some of them. I don't know how it's doing it. As far as I know, I don't have any filters on this to delete certain things. But anyway, if I remember to do it, I'll try carburetor cleaner on that tomorrow and see if that cleans it up anymore. But I kind of doubt it will. And I know carb cleaner could potentially melt the plastic too. And then Eddie says carb cleaner, but also mineral spirits, paint thinner is an excellent cleaner. Yeah, I know. And so is gasoline. As far as that goes, I've used gasoline a lot of times on stuff like that. In fact, that's all we ever used when I was, growing up with my dad, working for my dad. We never used anything but gasoline to clean everything. We just did. We always did. So just the way it is. And then bleach, yeah. Well, that Super Clean has a lot of bleach in it. You can tell by the smell of it. You can tell it's got a lot of bleach in it. But anyway, I'm going to let that be it, guys. Y'all have a good one. We will see you tomorrow with something else. Dottie says bleach and Dawn soap. Yeah, and well, I've been using Dawn soap all along. In fact, that's the only thing I use in that sink. Primarily is Dawn soap. And Dawn soap works pretty good, but it doesn't do quite as well as you might think on cleaning that type of sink. Trust me, there was a lot there to clean. And it would have cleaned it quite a bit better than it was had I just used that. But that's all I do use in the sink there. All those dispensers and everything, that's all they have in them is Dawn dish soap. And in fact, that's what I wash my hands with, is because it takes that grease off pretty well. Well, y'all have a good one. We will see you tomorrow with something else.